Well, hey, everybody. Happy Wednesday. Hope you're having a great week. We are getting ready to record Monday's podcast. It'll be a trip report show, as always, with listener Karin. I'm going to get that right. I'm going to try not to mess it up because I see Karen, but it's Karin. I love that. Up in Minnesota. So we're going to talk about her trip just from this past May. We're going to talk some. Oh, man. I need toothsomes in my life right now, so we'll hit on that real quick because otherwise I'll be at Dairy Queen before the show's over. And Little Pop Century, theme parks, dining, fun, all good stuff. So I can't wait. I think we're set. Let me see the levels here one more time because they jump. Oh, the Beer Guest podcast is live. What are you drinking? I'm drinking a Coke Zero. What do you got? The orange can there.
It's just a bubbly.
A bubble. Oh, is that the one that Michael Bublé is in the commercials?
I always think of him. Yeah, that's right. Exactly. I love Coke Zero, but I've had one today already, so I don't need one right now.
You do not need to know how many Coke Zeros I have in a day. It's pathetic. It's terrible.
Well, if you're having them for breakfast, right? That's a lot. So
breakfast. Yeah.
Well, it is good.
It never stops. So, okay. So let's see here. We are good. So let's go ahead. So wait, the one thing I need to know is the number of the show. It's 2136. I think. Let me double check because I think I misnumbered. I think I know I misnumbered all the tweets this week. So 34. Nope. See, I did it again. Something's misnumbered. 34 was today. So 35 will be tomorrow. 36 is 37. Yep. See, it's a good thing I looked. I got my. After you do too many shows, it's hard to keep track of what numbers. Because I do these out of order. And so, okay.
So that would be hard then. Yeah.
2137. Okay. Not that it matters. Okay, here we go. Riley's sleeping, so we are good. Here we go. Welcome to episode 2137 of the Be Our Guest Walt Disney World Trip Planning Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Rallman from BeOurGuestPodcast.com and one of the senior agents over at the Magic for Less Travel. Happy Monday to you. Hope you had a great weekend and had some awesome weather like we did here in the Midwest. We've escaped the heat wave here for a brief period and get out and enjoy the great outdoors without, sweating to death and, get stifling humidity and all that stuff that's behind us for right now. So we're having a little preview of fall and, football will be here before you know it. So good times are coming, except for the kids back to school. But again, back to school is a new opportunity to have a great school year. Same for the teachers. So good luck to everybody for your 2022-23 school year. But we're going to get you going here on a Monday to make your week awesome, whether you're going back to school or just hanging out around the house and just doing what you do like I do. I don't go anywhere ever unless it's, I get excited to go out to eat because that's the only time I leave the house now that I work from home every day since before it was cool. So today we got the trip report for you and we're going to have fun. We're headed up to Minnesota with Karin. Karin, how you doing today? Thanks for joining us.
Great, Mike. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
I'm glad to have you pinch hitting here because we had a listener that was scheduled to come on that got sick here at the last minute, which, we're thinking of Oriana. Hopefully she's feeling better by this point, but you snuck in here and we appreciate you so much coming on and sharing your trip.
Absolutely. I just lost my neighborhood. Thanks for booking my trip for me because this was our trip from just May and you helped us with all that. So thank you.
I appreciate that very, very much. That's what allows us to keep the show going. So this is my favorite thing to do of all things. So let me ask you this before we hop into the trip from May, because there's a lot to talk about. The two questions I've been asking to kind of get to know our listeners a little bit before we get really diving into the particulars of the trip. One, you're from Minnesota. Tell us something that your town is known for. I don't know. I know you're from the Twin Cities or Minneapolis or up there. I've never been that way, but I mean, what would you say is something that our listeners might not know about the area you're from that would be interesting to them?
Well, one thing people know that I don't think is as interesting as the Mall of America, of course, is right here. It's about 10 minutes from me. But one thing that's kind of interesting is Prince, his house and his recording studio was very near where I grew up. And not too far from where I am now. And when I was in high school, actually, I helped deliver flowers and we even brought flowers to his house. I remember before. So just right down near me, which was interesting. So, and everybody liked his music then too. So.
Huge. My wife too. Huge Prince fans. Paisley Park, right?
That's right. Yep. I just drove by it last weekend. So yeah.
So see, that's what I love. Like, I mean, you just like, if you're from St. Louis, I've never been in the state of Minnesota. So it's one of those things like, it's an abstract concept to me. And there you go, just cruise by. Yeah, it's Paisley Park. To me, it's just something on a record label. That's
Yeah.
amazing. I love that. That's so cool. And now, of course, after we're going to talk about twosome. So if I have to go down and get a blizzard later on at Dairy Queen, I'll have to put on some Purple Rain as I'm in the truck.
Good job.
This is how this night's going to unfold after this podcast recording. And hopefully a lot of our listeners will probably do the same on a Monday night. Okay. So one other thing though, give me your background with Disney. Like, have you been a Disney fan since you were a child? Did it happen later in life? How did this all happen for you?
I went to Disney World the first time when I was 7, in 1977. And since then, my family went there a lot when I was growing up. We'd either go up north or we'd go to Disney World in Florida. And so never Disneyland until 2016. That was our first trip. And I know you just took your first trip, which is really exciting. But after my childhood, we just loved it. And so in college, I went a couple times, and as an adult, went for my 30th birthday. And then since we've had children, we've gone 5 times with them and just love it. It just feels like home. And so when I go other places, even though they can be really special, Disney just feels like home, and it's really just a special place to be for all of us. So my kids embraced it too. And we, like I said, we'd enjoyed Disneyland. I loved that because I'm all about nostalgia too, and loved we did the Walk and Walt's Footsteps tour and just soaked up every bit of the history. It's really special. We went to see his gravesite and just other places that he enjoyed. I'm not, that he went to with his girls. And we also enjoyed going to Aulani as a family because of Disney, and Disneyland Paris when we had an excuse for a business trip just to go over there. So I convinced my husband, we were in London, and I convinced him to go to Paris just for that. That was really the only reason.
You're like, have you considered that Adventures by Disney, where they take you everywhere on the private jet? I mean, when you saw that sounds like it's something you need to do.
I heard about that. I don't think I think that would be a hard sell, but the places I would go on my own. They look really, really special. And my family actually is hoping to go to Tokyo next May. I don't think do you book that, Mike? I don't know if you do that.
We don't book Tokyo. They tend to not work too much with US based travel agents. We'd like to, but they just do their own thing. Yeah.
Yeah. We'll see if they're open. If they're ready for tourists from America. My sons are really pleading that would be a next special trip with Disney. So that's our thing we're saving for now.
I can imagine you are an expert. You've got the international flair. You've got and I love that you've been to Disneyland because, I could talk about that forever. Now, that's my thing. Anybody that I've talked to lately that's like, they've been to Disneyland, like, I'm like, okay, I'm going to trap you because I'm going to talk to you about Disneyland for the next 30 minutes because, and we'll get into your trip, I promise, but 2 minutes, I just got to ask you this. Like, when I got out there, I'll be honest, because it took me a decade. Everybody's like, Mike, you got to get to Disneyland. Mike, you got to get to Disneyland. And I never went. One, because I always had an annual pass to Walt Disney World. And I didn't want to have that extra expensive. Why would I go there and buy tickets when I already paid for my tickets at Florida? And plus, I used to be scared to fly. So it was an easier drive, to Florida, still 15 hours. But the thing was, in the back of my head, I thought I'd be underwhelmed when I got to Disneyland. You don't have so much of like the bubble, which is the reason I love Walt Disney World. I love the roadsides. I love the perfectly manicured medians. I love all the stuff that you don't see in a guidebook. But when I got out there, we stayed at the Disneyland Hotel. We only left property once to go to the Dodgers game on the 3rd day of the trip. So we kind of did stay in that bubble for most of the trip, just walking back and forth through downtown Disney. And it was magical because I'm a very, like you, nostalgic person. Like, I love knowing, because I've listened to Wedway Radio and read books all these years, and like, okay, Walt was actually, like, I've seen pictures of Walt like standing in this spot, like this is the main street. This isn't, the one he thought about. This is the one he gave the speech standing here. And, this is the Frontierland. This is the Tom Sawyer Island, so how did you feel like with that? Because you had, you got out there, but you had more history with Walt Disney World before that, kind of like I did. The same thing.
Yeah, we just loved it. I had heard for a long time, the castle's small or you might not like it. There's a lot of overlap, but it was so special. It was so, I loved the history. I just loved just all of it. We just felt instantly home there. And it was fun because it's like discovering a new place too, because there's a lot of unique things and also things are in a different place. So you'll go like, why is this in this land? And it's just kind of fun and exciting. The tour was really special. When we had booked the tour, I went on it with my oldest son, and we had originally hoped to see Walt's apartment because that was on the tour, but then it wasn't. So we saw a dream suite. And that was amazing just to see more of the background and hear more of the stories too. So we just loved it right away. And we knew we would be back, like you've said. When we were there, just like probably a day or two, we knew, okay, this isn't the only time. And so that's why we had to go back again. And so, yeah, and we did stay in the Frontier Tower of the Disneyland Hotel as well.
Yeah.
So I heard you did that. So, and we loved that hotel. I just loved even the, just the details on the paper in the room, like how it would say like sleep well, and it would be Walt's photo, and on the, just all the little cute details. Exactly. Yes.
Just for everybody's listening to the audio. I mean, and I think you guys do this. Like, I have the free pin that they put, by the nightstand that just says Disneyland Hotel, Anaheim, California. The little, it's a cheap throwaway pin, but I'm going to keep that forever. And the little thing that says telephone and internet information. It's just the stuff for, it's paper, it's cardstock, but it's got Walt's picture on it. It's like it was in the room. So yeah, this will always be treasured here in the studio. So
exactly. I saved all that stuff too. I brought it all back because I thought, well, they'll probably throw it away anyway between guests. And so, yeah, I definitely have all that myself. So
I have all the keys and my tickets. I mean, it truly was magical. And the thing that made me excited, I promise to talk about your trip, but it was just that it was now I know how it's good for me as a travel agent because it took me back to my guests who are going to Walt Disney World for the first time, right? I mean, I've been there now 50, probably more times with races and media events and family vacations, and it's special every time. Don't get me wrong. I get excited every time I go down, but I don't always hang on to all the mundane type stuff, like a room key, like I've got a ton of them now. But the thing is, like with Disneyland, I still have my, my room. I have my ticket. I have Pam's ticket. I have Mallory's ticket. I have our room keys. I have all that stuff, and it is never going away. Like that was how cool the trip was. So I can't wait to get back. But let's talk about your trip. I promise I'm going to hold you to mind. So you guys went down in May. So tell us about how this trip came together. Like, what was the genesis of it, and how'd you plan it out?
Well, it came together partly because we had a cruise booked that you had helped us with too. And of course, everything kind of came to a halt during the COVID times. And so regretfully, we had to cancel that or accept the refund because it just wasn't going to happen. And we rebooked, but then it still wasn't going to happen. So we did decide to go to Disney World again because we love it. And we knew it was going to be planned anyway the following year. So I will say as an aside, our trip to Alaska, the cruise that we took just a couple of years ago, that is our favorite trip of all time. And my husband still says that he's aching to go back. So I'm sure we'll be doing that when we can as well. Not the same location, but another Disney cruise because it was exceptional. It was so good. But so we knew we wanted to get back. It had been actually 5 years since our last Disney World trip, which felt like a long time to us. Yeah, we had Disneyland in between and the cruise, but we just felt like it was time. So we had initially planned on celebrating my oldest son's high school graduation at Disney World, but because things were closed at that time, we just look forward to using it as an opportunity to celebrate, just getting through all that and being done and just having some time together. So
So you guys stayed at Pop Century, but you went down, and because of how the flights worked out, you had a day on the front end. You guys arrived and you took up. So let's talk about the arrival at MCO because you took private car service and you stayed over at Universal for your first night. So talk about that if you could.
Yeah, we stayed at Endless Summer Resort just for one night because they had a big room since we're a family of 5, I have 3 sons and my husband. It just fit us really well. And we knew that it was really just meant just to sleep in really. And we wanted to go to Toothsome because we like that restaurant. Good and so we wanted some shakes. So we stayed there and it was great. I like Cabana Bay better. We have done that before. Royal Pacific, we've stayed there just for a night too. So those I like a little more, but it was really nice and it was very reasonable. It was a great budget-friendly choice. So
I do love some Cabana Bay.
Yeah, it's so cute. Yeah.
It is. Yeah. It's like Pop Century, but kind of like just a little bit upscale to a little bit better. It's just the newer Pop. It's got the bowling alley. It's got the little swizzle bar. It's such a cool little place. All right. So the next day, you guys, speaking of Pop Century, you guys head over there. It's where you were staying, 2 rooms. So how did, I would assume you've been to Pop before, possibly, had you?
Yeah, I had been there about a few years ago for a birthday trip just with some girls in my family. So my whole family hadn't stayed there, One of my sons had before, I guess, once. So we've taken some little trips that weren't the whole family recently. So within that last 5 years of the dry time when we hadn't done a whole family trip. So I had been there before, but I love the renovations that it's just so well done. So the whole family really enjoyed it. And it was our first time having 2 separate rooms for the boys got their own and they really liked that. And we had our own. So,
That's good.
but they were adjoining.
Yeah, and so did everybody kind of like the vibe of the place and
yes,
because the food court kind of everybody has. I think it's an easy place to like. You got Skyliner access, the food court. It's nothing fancy, but everybody can find something to eat, fun pools, stuff like that.
Yeah, we love the food at the food court. I think they have such great choices, and the turkey dinner we always like, and the tie-dye cheesecake. And the Skyliner was a favorite right away with everybody in the family. And my husband really liked the convenience of the Skyliner. He had not ridden it before, so that was really fun for him to do too.
Very cool. Okay, so the first day you get there, now you did what most people do, Magic Kingdom, first theme park, and it looks like you kind of really took. We got to talk about how you dress, but so I forgot about that. But you surprised everybody and automatically kind of jumped in with like ninja skills there with lightning lanes and Genie Plus to the benefit of your family. So talk to us about kind of your first day arrival and getting into the Magic Kingdom.
Well, we knew that we wouldn't get there right away in the morning, and we are usually a rope dropping family. And so we had talked about it in advance, so we weren't planning on getting Genie Plus, actually. We were going to take it as kind of a low-key day. But I looked into it more, and I saw kind of what to expect for the lines, and I just thought, let's go ahead and do it as a surprise. And so I saved some money, kind of worked my budget out. I tried to do some Disney math at home before I go, and I had a good excuse. I had saved the money elsewhere, and so I just booked Genie Plus on my own and booked a bunch of rides. And when we were in Magic Kingdom and the kids were looking at Buzz Lightyear, wanted to ride, and said, oh, it's pretty long, we walked over there and I just walked into the lightning lane with the whole family and said, we've got a pass, we're all set. And then we had several more set after that. So it was really fun. And it was really neat to learn how to stack them that you could. So at 7 a.m. that morning, I had started booking and had some for later. So it was a fun surprise. They were happy and excited about it. So
that's a great surprise. I mean, I never thought about it that way to kind of surprise the family with it. That's the first time I've ever heard anybody doing that, but that's a great idea. I mean, it's really kind of hard to surprise your family, but that is something you could pull off if you're kind of the person who is the planner and the family taking care of all the logistics. And I mean, nothing's better than getting to go through lines quicker. I mean, you are like, your family is going to like, thank you for that when you're at a Magic Kingdom. Now, I did say you guys Disney bonded as Phineas and Ferb characters. That stands out. So because Phineas and Ferb, they were awesome. I know they're still on.
Oh, good. You like them? Yeah, I think they're fantastic.
I used to have a Perry the Platypus pillow pet that sat on the bed. He was that cool.
Fun. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, totally. So did you guys get a lot of good feedback from that?
I don't know how much people noticed. We felt like it was really, really obvious. And I think people noticed more, but the PhotoPass photographer seemed really cute about it. But it was more that we knew, I think. But I think it was pretty obvious because my husband had a Perry colored shirt and just all the different things. It looked, I think, pretty clear. And one of my sons was like Doofenshmirtz.
Nice.
And so that looked, I thought that looked like a lab coat kind of thing. And so just a white shirt over a black shirt underneath, I think. But it was I think it went pretty well. So it was a lot of fun for us and we smiled all day. So I think it was worth it. It was cute.
That's cool. You made the memory. Yeah. That's what it's about. You made the memory. I love that. That's so cool.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
I love it though. Where's Perry?
Yeah, it was so cute. I love the show. So
every time you could find your husband, where's Perry?
Exactly.
So the next day, you guys had Epcot. Flower and Garden's going on during this. So how was your day over there? Other than it looks like you got stuck on Grand Fiesta Tour, which I mean, it happens. But how did they go in general? It looks like guys got to go to a concert.
Yeah, it was really good. We saw Mercy Me was playing there. So that was fun. And we went to the Regal Eagle, which was good. I know you've talked about that place. And that was great. And what was I going to say about, there was a thunderstorm that day and that was a little bit of a challenge. So one thing that I was going to suggest that might help people if they were smarter than me is just to keep more of a close eye on the weather. If you think there's anything coming, just glance at that radar because we really didn't realize that it was going to get bad so fast. So we had to do some running. And we hid out in, I think it was called Connections Cafe,
Yep.
the new restaurant over there for a while. And I've never seen that kind of storm at Disney before. It was really a black sky and pretty dark. But it was still an excellent time. We had a great day. And yeah, it was great. I love how beautiful Flower and Garden makes Epcot. That was really special. So, but the Grand Fiesta Tour thing was kind of funny. We got stuck for like 20 minutes at the end of the tour where you're right in front of, the three and they're singing. And then finally, after almost, we had been there a long time, they cut the music and it was just quiet and everybody clapped. And it was so funny.
I think there's a constitutional amendment against that's cruel and unusual punishment. Being stuck in that ride or Small World. Like, I mean, after 20 minutes, I don't know. I think you get your automatic freedom or something. It's crazy.
It's really repetitive. You don't realize how much because you're usually moving and then we're just stuck there. But my kids didn't mind. One of them said he took a little rest and he was happy. So it was fine.
I can sleep anywhere too. So I get it. I'm totally with them. Okay. Now, so Ratatouille though, first time for several of you. So what'd you think of this? Because I like this feedback because Ratatouille is a new ride that I like that Disney's doing this because it's not something like Cosmic Rewind that goes 100 miles an hour and spins you. It doesn't have to be something that's extreme all the time. It's a family ride. I mean, it's got a lot of technology, but it's a family ride. What'd you guys think?
We loved it. We thought it was really fun. I think that one thing that's interesting is it reminds me a little bit of Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. And we love that so much that I think it's kind of interesting because it kind of competes in my mind with that. I like them both so much. But when I first rode Ratatouille in Paris, when we had done that, 6 or 7 years ago, it was all new, the trackless system and all of that. And so it's still really exciting and fun, but I love Mickey and Minnie so much. I kind of sit there in my brain and kind of compare them to each other when I'm on them. So they're a little bit similar, but yeah, but they all enjoyed it. And it is nice that it's so family friendly. I do like that because I have a couple boys who don't like roller coasters. That's just not their thing. So it's really, really nice that they can enjoy that ride. So
and there's a huge percentage of guests who are not. I mean, I'm getting to the point where, I can do roller coasters, but I'd rather not. Like I'll say, because if the party all wants to do it, I'll go, okay, I'll go once. And then I usually regret it. It's like I shouldn't have done it. I'm just getting too old. Like I don't need to go that fast and spin and like Cosmic Rewind. I could do it one time and that's about it. So I'm getting to that age. So now you mentioned the thunderstorm. So we're going to move into the next day. The thunderstorm may have been an omen for what was coming. Because the next day, and let me just tell you, I've been through this a couple years ago. I was hospitalized. I had to have surgery. This was not pretty. Yes. So I sympathize with your husband. And it happened to me 2 days after getting home from Walt Disney World. So this, when I read this and I heard about this would have been me. And it was in May. Because it happened on Mother's Day. So because we had just gotten back from Mallory's cheerleading competition, I started feeling ill down there, but I made it home. I had no idea. So anyway, tell us, this was your studios day, but not really your studios day. So the drama, what happens?
So we were excited to go to Hollywood Studios and but in the middle of the night, my husband was having a lot of trouble and he woke me up and told me that he had a kidney stone and he's gotten them a number of times. So he knows clearly that that's what it is. And the sad thing with him is when he gets them, there's nothing he can do except try to get pain management at the hospital because it's so bad. He just can't bear it at all. It's really, I mean, it's a hideous pain. I've never had one, so I don't know what it's like, but it looked worse than labor to me when I see him in that pain.
I've only had the one, and I just remember when we had to go because I do not like doctors or anything. Like, I mean, if I say take me to the hospital, I remember I told my wife we were driving down to the emergency room and somebody was crossing the street. I said, okay, if you run that person over, like they're old. I was like, that's how much pain I was in. I was like, they've lived a long life. Like just run the
exactly.
Like, that's how much pain I'm in at this point. Just get me there. I don't care if they're gonna have to do something, but run them over.
I believe it. Yeah, it's awful. When I've tried to comfort him too, I'll be like, honey, I can help. No, don't touch me. I mean, he's in agony when it's like that.
Yeah, it's not good.
The nice thing is, I think it's one of the best places you could be if you have that problem, because when I did get on the phone and I talked to the folks at the resort, they connected me with an they got an ambulance coming out to the hotel, and the hotel manager, the resort manager, came right to our room. He was there within minutes of my phone call, and he gave us some guidance on how to handle things with the EMTs when they come. And it was really nice. He said, we talked about it, and he said, well, if you want to get to the hospital, if that's what you need, then be clear with them. Say you don't need an assessment here. You just need to go. And it was just really helpful. He just really wanted it to be efficient and simple for us. And so when the EMTs came, they did a wonderful job. They took good care of him. They gave him something for pain immediately. And they also made sure that he got into a room right away. When there was a little bit of a wait, they were told at the hospital, they said, nope, we're going to get him to a room. He needs it now. So we just got really, really nice service in Celebration. That's where they took us. And also the resort manager, I think his name was George at Pop Century. He was fantastic. He said before he left that morning when he was talking to us, he said to let him know that when we come back, when we take a taxi back, they'd refund the cost of the taxi. And he also said the ambulance ride would be free. It was really, really just top notch, really caring service from them.
That is so good to hear. That's so good because really you nice. Never think of that happening. And, fortunately, that usually does not happen for most people, but it's good to know that if it were to happen, that there is a procedure and that it's efficient and that it's like, it's rehearsed, it's like amateur hour. People are trying to figure things out. Like it's a well-oiled machine. And it's just like the Disney experience is guests first. Like let's take care of the guest as though they're family. And that's what it sounds like happened for you.
That's definitely what it felt like. And when we brought the receipt later for the taxi, I felt even kind of bad. I didn't want to ask, but he said, bring it to the desk, just do it. And they handled it really simply, quickly. They were really kind. So it was great. It's classic Disney. That's why you go.
It's a good way to turn around a horrible situation, but at least, talk about sprinkling a little pixie dust. I mean, I don't know. It's not worth it. Trust me. I mean, we're not balancing the scales here for your husband at all. I'm not saying that. So don't tell, but we're trying here. Disney is. Okay. So the boys, though, it looks like they were able to go to the park, right? And make the most of the day, even though you guys were over in Celebration.
That's right. Yeah, they went to the park. And I should say, as one last thing with the customer service, one thing they were clear about too is they said, if you need any help at all with your plans for the day, if you aren't able to do what you had planned or whatever, let us know so we could cancel it. We had a dining reservation that was within the 24 hours that they canceled for no fee. And they were just really gracious about just wanting to help us to make it work, whatever we were going to do that day. So that was really nice. But my kids went to Hollywood Studios because we knew their dad would be fine. It just would take a little time. So they weren't worried or anything. They know how this goes. And so they had a blast. They went there, the three of them, and had a great time. And that was one thing they said about the trip in general that they loved, that they just had some time, just them on their own more this trip because they're getting older. And, it's nice to have some time that's just the guys. So they enjoyed it.
Right. It is one of those things. It's almost, and again, I'm not saying this for your husband, not take it the wrong way, but it's cool when like the brothers can have, the kids can have that time together as just siblings. I mean, not that it's not fun hanging out with the parents, because it is a whole family, but they're making the most of it. And that really probably was like super bonding time. I bet you they'll look back on this day and be like, that was, unexpected, but super, super cool.
Definitely.
Really neat. Unexpected blessing kind of thing that you're not looking for. And Primo Piatto for dinner. That's one of my favorite places, by the way. Oh, so good.
I think you're why we went there, because I had heard you talk about it a number of times. And I said, we've got to go to it. And it's one of those things, if you're not staying at the Riv, as you call it, you can think, well, is it worth it? Should we do it? But I said, the best time to do it is when you're at Hollywood Studios, because Mike says you get on the Skyliner and you go right there. It's easy. You're there quickly. And so that's what we did. And it worked really well. And we really enjoyed it. The food was fantastic. And obviously the setting's so pretty. And we went around and saw the mosaic, the little tiles. And it was just really, really a great time, great outing. And the food was fantastic. So
it's your best counter service when you're at the studios. you walk right out the park.
Yes.
You're right there. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because it's hard to know where to go. And it was great. And another thing we did that I don't think, I forget which day it was, but when we were at the studios, we did the breakfast, the Ronto wrap.
Oh,
and that was really good. Yeah, we loved that.
So good. I've had trips where I've had 3 or 4 of those in one trip, because it's just I'm back at the studios and it's like, okay, that's the quickest thing. It's like a breakfast burrito, but it's way better. And I'll get 2 of them, because it's like, and sometimes for race weekends, I've already run. So let's go.
And it's so unique. You can't get that anywhere else. So I really, really thought it was a great thing to do.
Yeah.
So
they don't sell the Ronto wrap sauce at my grocery store. I keep looking for it, but I
someday.
All right, so the next day, you guys, now has your husband rejoined? Like, did he just go back to the room, or like how does he get back into the picture of this? Like, I know it takes a little bit to recover here. Like,
Yeah.
what's his status on all this?
Well, he had several different kinds of painkillers because he knew kind of what would work from the past and all that, but they always tried different things. And so then he was ready to go actually to the parks by about 3 o'clock. He was there. So in the middle of the night, he was having the trouble, but then he was better in time to go back to the room and, kind of change and then get into the park. So he was excited, and we got those Jack Jack cookie num nums. We got those right away because we like those cookies. And we surprised the boys by just showing up, like at the exit to Toy Story when they were done. And it was fun. And then they were kind of done. It was funny because they had been running around, and, it's kind of hot at that time of year. So two of them went back to the hotel for a rest, but we kept our oldest guy stayed with us, and we got to enjoy the parks. So until dinner time, and then we all met up again. So
Your husband is the man to be in the theme park that same day. I was saying that's incredible. There's days where I'm just wimping out and I don't have anything wrong with me. All right, so the next day you guys go over to Animal Kingdom, and it says that first time some of you have been in Pandora. So we were just talking about this on the show last week about Pandora's 5 years. Well, you mentioned you have been there for 5 years, but Pandora's now 5 years old. I still think of it as like a new land, but it's really not that new. What were your thoughts?
We all really loved it. I had been fortunate enough to go November of 2017. So it must have been pretty new because we had gone in May of 2017, and it was after that it opened, I believe. So I had seen it a little bit and enjoyed it and told them about the rides, but it was really, really fun for everybody to get to be there. So we liked it, but we didn't get to see it at night, actually, because it doesn't get dark that early, which is the only thing I regretted about just Pandora this time, because I think it's really special to see it all lit up. But they really loved it, and they loved Flight of Passage, and it was really nice that we got to do it. The boys got to do it twice. We all did it once right away at Rope Drop. And one thing about that day, they opened so early that we were, it was 5 something in the morning, I think, when we got up, and we had to get to the park very, very early to get in line. So they were troopers. They're really great kids, great family to put up with my my energy in the morning. I can always rope drop, but sometimes people don't necessarily enjoy that. And so it was a great day. We had a nice breakfast. And one thing that was cool is we found a shady spot. I asked a cast member. That's always such a good idea, I think, just to ask someone else, because it can feel kind of hot in that park. And it was a really lovely day. So
that's a good day. Yeah, you want shade at Animal Kingdom, because Animal Kingdom, if you're out in the sun, that park is hot, especially in May.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So now the next day, it looks like you went back to the studios, and you mentioned, before we get to that you had something at the Skyliner station at Caribbean Beach. You said it was life-changing. Okay, so I'm not a coffee person, so my life has not been changed by a Joffrey's coffee stand.
Yeah.
But what was so good, so people can check this out and maybe get a taste? Maybe they need to find out about this drink.
It's kind of funny. So I have 2 sons, the twins. They are both baristas. One is a barista at church, and the other one is a barista at a local coffee shop. And they just love coffee, and they can drink a lot of coffee. And they had heard about this toffee flight latte at the Skyliner station at Caribbean Beach Resort, and it's just really outstanding. It's just great. And so it's just like a toffee chocolate kind of latte. It's very delicious. So they made it a priority to stop there. A lot of times when we were anywhere near, or just as an excuse, even just from Hollywood Studios, go out there and come back. I did that one day just for the latte. So, but it was really good. It was the best I've ever had of that kind of drink. And so it was very delicious.
Well, they're experts. I mean, that's exactly, that's
yeah,
what they do. And that's very cool. Because I love bringing up stuff like that, because we never, we've done, almost 2,200 shows, we're approaching that. And it's one of those things like, you talk about Rocket Roller Coaster, you talk about Pandora, you talk about Slinky Dog Dash, you talk about all those things many times over, but somebody may hear this and say, oh, that sounds so good. But you could walk right past that Joffrey's cart there 5 times during a trip if you're staying on the Skyliner and not even know it's there. So hopefully somebody heard this today and they're like, oh my gosh, I'm going next month and I'm going to be staying at Art of Animation. And I'm going to be going past that cart 10 times, and they can check it out. Maybe it's their new drink. That's why I love these Monday shows, because I had no idea. I'm not a coffee drinker. I didn't know.
Well, you should try it. And I will say too, the one nice thing about that Joffrey's also is that it doesn't tend to have a line from what I've seen. Every time we went, there was a very tiny line or maybe nothing. And a lot of times they get backed up in the park. So it's really a treat to have a short line and get something that you really love. So
And my
it's
problem
good.
is when I go to a Joffrey's location, I get those pink donuts and those things.
Oh, yeah.
I don't wanna know how many calories those are because they are big and they're
Many.
dense.
Yeah, those are
They're a
good.
lot of things and
Yeah.
they're so good. Yeah, so I try not to look. When I see the purple oval, I just like, "Oh, it doesn't exist. I'm not looking." Over
Yep.
there. Okay, so so, one of the things you bring up, like, a lot of the things Disney really does well that we don't talk a whole lot about, and another thing, when you guys were on Rock and Roller Coaster earlier in the day, the fact that you put this in the notes makes me happy because
Yeah,
this is the kind of stuff that when I went to Disneyland, it's the small details
it
that I
is.
still talk about and that I love that are in all my pictures. Like, it's not the big stuff, it's all these little weird details. And you mentioned in the notes how when you were in the queue for Rock and Roller Coaster, one of those signs, concert
Mhm,
signs, would say,
mhm,
Karin coming
mhm,
to Paisley Park Records, with Prince, tomorrow. Because the Magic Band has your name and
mhm.
maybe your location, whatever. You got a kick out of that. And I got the same for me. I love that kind of stuff.
It was really fun, and the funny thing is, like, it does catch you so off guard even though you know that that's something they're great at, the details, and I've seen, like, my son's name in, for example, in Star Tours. They have those, images up on the wall, and they reference, individuals, and his name has been up there, and it'll say, like, Benjamin from Burnsville, and so it had, yeah, my name and my city, and the number and my birth date, the day, it was there as the price. So I wonder if they even had that. I don't know, but I mean, it just seemed very interesting that that was even there. It was like $7 for the tickets. So it was just funny. And at first I didn't even think, I thought it was a coincidence. And then I realized, well, of course it's not a coincidence. It's just them being Disney. So it was really cute.
Yeah, when
So
we start noticing like our social security numbers on there, like, whoa, whoa.
that would be too much. I don't need that. But
That
yeah,
was that
it
was
was cute.
fun. That was fun. Now let's hope it not that.
Yeah.
So that evening though, it looks like you guys went over to kind of did a little Sassagoula River excursion there. You went over to Disney Springs, went
Yeah.
down to French. Oh my, you guys have beignets in French Court. You guys are killing it because I love the beignets over there with the dipping sauces. And yeehaw, Bob, this is an all-star day. I mean, I got to give you the ding here. This day rocks. You should have called me. This day was awesome. So I mean, everybody enjoyed this day. I hope so because I mean, it doesn't get much better.
It was a great day. And we had Earl of Sandwich first, and so
Yes.
it was a great day. But one thing that was a little bit of a bummer was we were really looking forward to the boat ride, and it was raining. So
Oh,
because we did have a lot of rain this trip, just for whatever reason, we must have just hit just the wrong week in May, or wrong time frame. We were there for 10 glorious days, so it was more than a week. But we did have a lot of rain. But it was fantastic, and we had never been to the place that has the beignets at French Quarter. And so that was really a treat. I've had the beignets at Disneyland and those were so good. Loved those. But these are enormous. And so that was fantastic. And the dipping sauces and all of that. And then we ran over to see how Bob at Riverside. And that's where we used to stay when the boys were smaller because it's perfect for a family of 5. That's one of the things I like to tell friends if they are looking for places because it really does fit well when you can put one of the kids in that like fold down little bed because
it
it's
probably don't
such
fit anymore. It's yeah, it's
they won't
that's
do it. I've tried to talk them into it because I really love the resort and I love the theming and it's just like you said, you've said like it's like a postcard when you walk
it
around
is
outside. It's so
gorgeous.
pretty. So,
Oh,
but
so how was Bob's hair? Did it look great? I hope
it
so.
looked
Okay,
it looked great.
good, good to
And
hear.
we've seen him several times and it's just really a treat to see him. So,
Good
yeah.
stuff. He's a good friend. I love Bob. He's a good man. Okay, so next day, it looks like you guys took a break over Pop Century. You guys did the tie-dyed Mickey shirts, which I've seen people do that. And I think I want to say Paige did a project like this one time. We stayed like one night at Animal Kingdom Lodge and they were doing a project. One time we were over at Beach Club. We weren't even staying there, but like we were having a podcast meetup and in the solarium or whatever, they were doing like a little porcelain paint projects. So did you, I mean, I like that Disney does this stuff because that's kind of fun to take a break and make something and you
Yeah.
see something besides theme parks all the time. Did you guys enjoy that?
We did really enjoy it. It's a great system. It's nice that they do all the hard work. You just do the color yourself. I mean, everything's set up to make it into a little Mickey head on the tie-dye, and, it was really fun. It was a great treat, and I had heard about it for years, so it was nice to finally do it. But it looks like it's available at a lot of the hotels because we walked by it when we went to Beaches and Cream later in the trip. They were doing it outside there. So, yeah, it's something I think is really a great idea, and I think they might do pillowcases too,
I think
possibly.
so. Mhm.
Yeah. So it was great. It was a nice activity. And we did We did, which is really a new thing for us this trip, because it was warmer, we would usually take breaks in the afternoon. So it was really nice to have something fun we could do one of the afternoons when we were back in the hotel.
It's a good call. Okay, so now when you're at Magic Kingdom this day, because we're gonna try to get all this in here, we're running a little short, but I got to get all these stories in. So it looks like I'm just looking through the notes. It says you had the best skipper ever on Jungle Cruise, but he had a different uniform on and clearly not a typical skipper. So I'm wondering, like, were you
Yeah.
hijacked or what was the story with this? I mean, this kind of sounds sketch, but it sounds awesome. I'd like to be on the
Yeah, it does. I don't know what it was. And the funny thing was, one of our sons, actually, he was tired, so he was back at the room. So he missed it all. One of the twins, which was really sad because we told him about it later and he was very regretful. But he was phenomenal. And I don't know what it was. When he pulled up to the dock, when they drop off people, when they come around in the circle, he only had three. Like there were three ladies in the boat that he had just brought back. So I don't know if he was doing like a small tour for like a few people. And he was somebody who just said, oh, I'll do another, maybe somebody special who's been there before as a pro.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, but he was fantastic. And at the end, everybody erupted with applause and everybody was laughing in general. And he just had the great, dad jokes the whole time, just rolling, no pauses, just very natural. And he even poked a little fun at Disney. He made a joke about, I forget how he weaved it in there, but he said something about how, yeah, some things just used to be free, but now they're charging for them. And he's like, yeah, I said it. So he said, kind of poking at them, probably about Fast Pass or something, but it was just, or whatever it was. But he was phenomenal, just fantastic, best ever.
I love that kind of stuff. That is why I love Jungle Cruise, because you don't know what you're gonna get. Like sometimes I mean, and the thing is, like, there's no really formula for a great skipper, right? I've had like super dry people. They don't say a ton, but because they don't say a ton, they're hilarious. Because it's like they're so just deadpan the whole time. And I think that's right. And then somebody will be like just nuts. And I'm like, that was crazy too. That's I like that they can bring a little personality, because you can't do that on most attractions at Walt Disney World. Okay, real quick. To wrap up that night, Three Bridges. We don't talk about that much here over at Coronado. What'd you guys think about that?
We like Three Bridges. We had gone there once before when my twins and I had a trip last October, and we had gone that day. And the thing with Three Bridges that I would just suggest, if people don't know, is there's a wait list, a walk-up wait list, and you can't be on it until you're near Three Bridges because they don't do reservations. So that's something that if you really want to do it, what we did was we got there shortly before they opened for the day, because they're open for dinner, not lunch. And we got on the wait list and then enjoyed a meal. So it was very good. And it's just such a pretty setting right there in the middle of the water at Caribbean Beach Resort. And we love Gran Destino Tower and how pretty that is. So we got to do some things outside, like they have the gigantic chess set. And it was just a nice little outing.
Yeah, it's a beautiful place. I mean, I remember because I stayed at Coronado a lot during the construction of Three Bridges. I said, when that place is done, that's going to be just so gorgeous to eat out there on the lake there. And it truly is. It's great. I still haven't eaten there though. I don't know why. Like I always go because I go to Maya Grill. That's like that's my place. But and I always go to this. I do the same things over and over. I got to break habit.
That's what we do. Same thing. Yeah.
Maya Grill. Like, okay, we'll go to Three Bridges and right into Maya Grill. Sorry, not going there. Even though I want to. Okay, so next day, so we got a couple more days left. Epcot the next day. It looks like you ran into some more bad weather. You guys didn't get to see Harmonious the entire trip, or we got trying to, and it just never happened because of the weather?
Yeah, we were trying to. It didn't happen. And I actually had heard it was interesting that it was on one night, the first night that was really, really stormy. I read online that somebody said it was on. It was just delayed. So I didn't know that they did that Disney would present them later for whatever reason they did. But actually, I think thinking back, it was also the day that there was some kind of preview of the new Guardians ride. And I think that was also one thing that was included in the tickets was seeing Harmonious and special seating. So perhaps that day they really felt like they needed to make it happen. I don't know if they're always able to do that when there's rain. I'm sure sometimes they probably can't. But in that case, they were on later, but we didn't know. And so the negative there was that the Skyliner wasn't possible to take back. So every night at Epcot, we needed to do something different to get back. But they're pretty efficient. There was a bus. It was the longest bus line I've ever seen in my life because, of course, they're not expecting to have buses for these resorts. And everybody needed to get out because it was just pretty yucky out. But they moved as fast as they could, and it was fine. But we never saw Harmonious, so we'll have to see it next time.
Yeah, so you can't get. I do. I feel your pain though, because a lot of times Because, if you're staying at Pop Century on the Skyliner and you're at Epcot and you're trying to decide if the Skyliner is gonna be down because of weather, you are really in a pickle because you gotta decide, okay, well, if I'm gonna take the Skyliner, I'm going out of the International Gateway. But if the
Mhm.
Skyliner is gonna be closed, I gotta go out of the front of Epcot. And I mean, that's like a mile difference in walking, at least
Yes.
probably by but from the Pop Century bus stop to the International Gateway loading station for the Skyliner, and you got to decide like not only your time, right? That you're gonna have a long wait for a bus if you're not riding the Skyliner, but it's
Yeah.
logistically you got to kind of decide like, okay, what's the plan? That is
Exactly.
it's something to think about when you see a storm rolling in. You're at Epcot and you're at Pop Century, Art of Animation, Caribbean Beach, Riv, something like that.
Yep.
Um, so, because we only have a couple minutes left, I want to hit some of these other things. Though, Rise, you guys got over to studios the next day. Rise was closed, but you kind of wrote it out. Was it worth the wait, or did everybody like it?
Yeah, it was worth the wait. We all loved it, and they had actually done that before because we did one quick getaway to Disney, December of 2020, when things weren't open where we live, and they got to ride it then, so they loved it then, and it was really nice to hit it this trip. And the nice thing was, just with patience, we did get on it. They just said it wasn't opening yet, and I've heard that happens a lot with that ride. So we just waited, and it was possible. It was maybe 20 minutes. I don't know what it was, but it made sense to wait rather than come back, and we were really happy to ride it. It was good.
Cool. And you guys also did Ogas, so was that another hit, or was that
Yeah.
something that was it? Some of these times, sometimes I worry some of these things can be kind of more hassle, or you build it up to be more of an experience than it really is. But how'd that go for you?
We really liked it. I think that if you're somebody who doesn't wanna stand, and drink, like for some people, if they would rather just sit down, if that's the way that they'd like to relax, it might not be as much fun, but for us, it was really, really nice, and, just to be cooled off on a hot day, it was really worth it. So we knew that it was gonna be a good reservation for us to get just to cool off. So it met our needs for that, and the music was so fun, and we were right by the robot that does the music, so that was cute.
Yeah, DJ Rex always
Yeah,
spinning up there. Yeah, but he's got
exactly.
love
Yes.
that guy. All right, and you wrapped up the day with your family sounds like it's the perfect dynamic for this experience, and it's the best recovery for a kidney stone. I think the kitchen sink over at beaches and creek.
Yes, that's right.
How was? But I do have a tip, and you got to back me up because we've done this a couple times with different groups we've traveled with. You
Mhm.
got it. You got to get after it fast. Like this thing after like 10 minutes is a match.
Yes.
Like it's it,
Yep.
you can't mess around. Like when that thing comes rolling out, they turn out the lights, the sirens go on.
Yeah.
When they put that thing down and start making a big deal, you got to have the spoon in your hand. You got to start digging in because when it turns to soup, it's not all, you don't need every flavor all mixed into the soup. You want to get it while it's ice cream. That's my best tip. I don't know. How'd you guys attack the kitchen sink?
That's really good advice, and I'd heard that myself from my sister. She had done that because we gave them a kitchen sink, like a gift card, because I thought it would be hilarious for her family to try it before we had done it. And, yes, so we eat it fast, which is good, and we also love the chocolate lovers version,
Oh,
because I don't know if you've had that. Have you had that, Mike, or have you had the
no, we
other?
just got the kitchen sink. I mean, we didn't know that there were more sinks. We just give this kitchen sink. So that's all
The
we got.
cool the cool thing about it is it sounds like the flavors blend a little bit better. I mean, obviously, it's a simpler mix of flavors, but, because she had my sister who had it said, "Well, you have, like, a lemon poppy seed, like, muffin, and then you have this other" just, like, some different competing things going on, and
Yep.
when I heard there was chocolate, we all love chocolate, so that was good, but the funny thing was we had had it once before, and we had finished it, like, without a ton of trouble, and this time we couldn't, so I don't know what's wrong with us because 'cause you'd think that we'd be better at it as the kids get older. But they loved it, and they loved the whole presentation with the lights and all that. It's really fun.
It is.
So
It's as much the experience as it is the dessert. Like the
yes.
ice cream. It's just the goofing. You got to get your picture real quick, and but to see it's melting while you're doing all the selfies. By the time you're done
I
selfies,
know. You have
it's
to be
so
quick with that because it's
it's
gonna
so
fall apart,
ready.
yeah.
Like, don't mess around. It's not gonna be the
Yeah.
perfect picture. I'm just telling you. Be ready. All right. So you did Magic Kingdom one last time the day before you left. Looks like you Gaston's Tavern cinnamon rolls to kick off the day. Approved here. That is my
We
go-to.
love those.
Extra icing,
Mhm.
expert level move right there. You always ask for that. Met
Yeah.
Jack Sparrow, had lunch over at Whispering Canyon. How was that? Because that's always a lot of fun for me.
Whispering Canyon was great, and it was nice because they were all into the old antics. That was really, really fun. So the ketchup and the straws and just all that stuff, it was pretty chaotic, pretty funny, and, so our family really, really liked it. It was great. So and they
You
did this silly thing, they
you went to
put, like, a
jail? Hang on.
jail
Yeah, I was gonna
around
say,
me.
it says you went to jail here. Hang on.
Yeah, have you seen that? I hadn't seen that before. they have like a portable, it was like bars they'd set it down in front of the person, like, and hand the check to them. And so that was kind of funny. And then my son, who drinks a shocking amount of water, like on Disney Cruise Line, whenever he was at dinner, the staff, they were so amazing. They take such good care of you. They'd put down 2 glasses of water, 2 glasses of ice water, and they'd keep filling them like constantly because he drinks so much water. And in this case, he went through probably 5 glasses of water, and then they brought over a gigantic thing it was huge. It wasn't even a glass. It wasn't a cup. It was nothing for drinking, and with a straw for my son Sam at dinner. It was pretty funny.
I feel Sam, because we went there and we had a huge podcast meetup before the very first podcast cruise. It was the night before we went on our first podcast cruise. This was like 2011. Maybe 2009, 2011, maybe. I can't remember when it was. First podcast cruise. We did a big meet there, probably about 50 or 60 listeners, all had dinner there. And I drink a ton of soda, and I got that same glass. That thing was like a bucket, because I just kept.
You did.
Because I was so thirsty. I've been in the Magic Kingdom all day. I was like, and it was hot. It was July. And so they finally brought it over. I mean, the thing was like, it was like a bucket. Like, there was no way I could have finished that soda. It must have been 2 liters of soda in the glass. I mean, so I get it. I was like, but then I just kept drinking at it, and the whole rest of the night I was like, oh, my stomach, because I was trying to finish that big bucket of soda.
Was it Coke Zero or Diet Coke or something?
Back then it was before I started even running. This was Coke. That
would be a lot.
Yeah. Seriously, I gotta change my ways. I'm Coke Zero now. Okay, so you wrapped up though with some pictures for the 50th. Did some of the filters, the fun stuff. Did you guys use Memory Maker? Or you just use your own pictures and kind of what do you do with the images when you get home? I'm always curious about that too.
We always use Memory Maker. We love that. So we did that this trip, and we loved that they did like the magic shots and special shots too. That was fun. So yeah, we did that. And then at home, I like to try to scrapbook, but I at least always buy one of the Disney photo albums that they have. There's usually a different one every trip, and then at least put 200 in there, so we have something to look back on while I think about doing the scrapbook. So, but yeah.
I remember, because Pam used to always get the scrapbook, like pages and all the stickers and the frames.
Yeah,
but then the scrapbooks never got made.
It takes a lot of time, and especially with people working, like teaching.
I get it. She works super hard.
Yeah.
I totally understand. Now it's like Google Photos. That's good enough. It's like they send you that link every once in a while, like 7 years ago today, you were doing this. Like, okay, good enough. That's my scrapbook. That's what I was doing. Cool. Okay, so the last day, looks like you guys went to Disney Springs before you headed home. Any highlights from that last day besides little Blaze Pizza and Gideon's cookies? I mean, not bad.
Yeah, Gideon's. We love Gideon's, and so that was really fun. So have you gone to Gideon's yet, Mike?
I still haven't. I've been. I will not wait in line for a cookie. I should.
Yeah. Well, there's
I need to virtual queue and all that. I know I need to.
Exactly. Yeah. If you do the virtual queue, you just go like right away when you arrive at Disney Springs. It's not too hard, but they're really good. But they're so gigantic that we cut them into fourths, and we have like about a fourth of a cookie at a time. But they were really good, and we had there was a peanut butter, like kind of coffee drink. I forget what it was called, but like a cold brew or something. I think Pam might have talked about that.
Yeah, somebody recently just brought that up, how it was awesome. I can't remember who it was, but somebody talked about it. Yeah.
Yeah. My sister-in-law ordered that, and I got some of that because my brother lives in Orlando. Lucky guy. I wish I did. So she got that, and we got to just enjoy cookies together, and it was really fun. And then we always love Blaze Pizza, so we did that too. And it was a great end to the trip. So it was very
cool.
fun.
Well, it's been a ton of fun. So as we wrap up, any tips for folks that are going down in your situation and have kind of older kids that are going, because they've been going since they were younger, but now that they're older, have you learned anything that's kind of changed how you travel? That is, it's like, oh, if I could share this with folks that are kind of have the same family dynamic that I have, this might make their trip better. Because a lot of times, families going for the first time when they have families like yours.
Yeah, I think we kind of talked about it before in that they have the separate space because we had the 2 rooms. And I think that was really nice for them just to have a little more room so we didn't feel as crowded. And we love being together. I mean, family trips are one of my very favorite things in life. And so normally nobody complains or anything, but it's nice to have a little more room. So you just have space and 2 bathrooms in the morning. That made things a lot easier. But to do breaks, like when somebody was tired, we just said, you can go back to the room. We'll just meet up later. And we just gave everybody lots of flexibility. I mean, just to do what made sense for them. And then we still obviously had all of our dining together and lots of rides together. So we were together mostly, but they, I think, felt a lot more independent. But one thing that was interesting was I didn't plan touring plans. You know, the touring plans, like where, because I like that, like the unofficial guides, and you have the plans and the system on the phone. And I've always done that on trips, and we're flexible, but there's always a plan each day. This time I didn't do that because I thought they wouldn't want to do that because of just them being older and wanting to have more say in things. And we had gone with the twins. I had gone for their birthday last fall. And then we were more like, let's just do whatever you want. We just left it wide open. So I thought that was a good approach, but actually they did share. There was some sharing that they would have preferred to have more of a plan. So that was interesting. So I think my thing is always, I actually do a little survey. Like I list all of the attractions and they rate what they are, like 1 to 5, like how important they are to them. And they incorporate that into the plan. So that's normally what I would do. So I think I'd do that again and just hold on to it really loosely so that they know, like, it's not a big deal if we change, but at least we have something that's more of a set plan so that you're not worrying about, like, from day to day, what you still need to do and, all that. So
you're like a mini Lentesta there. You're surveying, you're getting data, you're massaging the numbers, you're waiting, like, okay, this attraction is an e-ticket, it's gonna get a 0.8 on the scale, and carousel progress 0.45. Now
well, there is a right way and a wrong way. I mean, there is, it's
like, I agree. I mean, just the conversation is really what matters, just asking the questions, just having the conversations, like, what is important? That's the biggest question. Like, what's important to you? I mean, if you don't ask that, you can't know what somebody wants to do, because if you assume that, especially with teenagers, I mean, I've learned this being a parent too, right? Like, your assumptions are way off all the time. I mean, you think but it's like, what? Because like Mallory will want to do something, like, you want to do that? Like, are you kidding me? Like, that's your favorite thing? And I'm like, I'm glad it is, because I love the carousel of progress too, but I can't believe you love the carousel of progress. I must have raised you right. It's got that kind of stuff.
Exactly. One of their favorite attractions now, my boys, is Haunted Mansion. And it was funny because initially they didn't want to ride it. And a nice cast member actually talked them into it. A cast member who was in the college program, who was at the little pin store in Frontierland. And she just kind of convinced him one day. She was hanging out. They were in the store just looking for Chippendale pins. And she was one of the best cast members ever. She was trying so hard to get them Chippendale pins because they like them because they're twins. And because my twins they just remind them of them. And she was so sweet. And she gave him a bunch of free pins, like trying to just help him find Chippendales. But she talked him into trying Haunted Mansion, and that's one of their very favorites. So that's something that they love doing all the time. So we prioritized that this trip, for example. So it was it's fun to just see it through their eyes. So whatever they want, I want to do. If there's something nobody wants to do, I'll do it alone, like Splash Mountain and Everest. My family doesn't really want to do, so I'll do it by myself sometimes. My oldest son will do Everest, but the rest aren't into that. So
and hey, that's what keeps everybody happy, though, because you don't make anybody do it. But if you want to do it, and everybody else can go over and have get a burrito over at Pecos Bills. I'm going to ride Splash Mountain. We'll meet you in 30 minutes.
Exactly. Yeah.
Keep everybody happy.
Yep. That's the trick with that age, especially. Like,
Exactly. Karin, I appreciate you coming on the show. This has been so much fun, and everybody's going to, have a good time listening to this show and learn a lot. So we'll have to talk again. We're going to do a show about the twins. They're going to come on and talk about their trip. So that is coming up soon. But thanks again. And you guys have a good rest of the summer up in Minnesota. And I know before too long, it's going to be cold. So hang on as long as you can to that warm weather.
Thank you so much. You have a great rest of summer too. So thanks for all you do.
I appreciate you. All right. Don't forget, today's show always brought to you by The Magic for Less Travel. Check them out for all your Disney trip planning needs. They're over at themagicforless.com. Please also use our Amazon affiliate link when you shop online. That one extra click really helps us out. It's beourguestpodcast.com/Amazon. And a sincere thank you to the patrons of the Be Our Guest podcast. You make all this possible. And our patrons get that bonus show called Mike in the Midwest every Tuesday. If you'd like to join us, we'd love to have you. Come on over to patreon.com/Be Our Guest Podcast. Give me a follow on social media. I'd love to talk to you this week. I'm at Be Our Guest Mike on Instagram and Twitter. Follow the show on Facebook and YouTube. You can search for the Be Our Guest Podcast. And of course, this Sunday night, 7 o'clock Eastern, 6 o'clock Central, we'll be taking your calls and talking Disney live right there on YouTube and Facebook. So join us again Sunday night, 7 o'clock Eastern, 6 o'clock Central. All right, we're going to get out of here, and we'll be back again on Wednesday with more of your listener questions. So until then, for Karin, I'm Mike, wishing you a great Monday. Stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you real soon. was trying to think of something Prince to say there on the end, but I couldn't. Like when doves cry. I was like,
There's probably nothing good to say. It's kind of a
I know.
kind
I
of
was
a
like,
dark time.
kind of tread lightly on that one there. Yeah, I was like, yeah, I don't know. Because
Do you want to hear something funny? I know
Yeah,
we're
go ahead.
not probably recording anymore, but
We're
so
live.
when I was,
Yeah, okay. Just
what
so
was
you,
that?
we're still live on Facebook and YouTube.
Oh, it's
though.
nothing bad.
No,
It's
go
just
ahead.
it's just a
No.
funny thing. When I was in high school and I wanted to see Purple Rain and I wasn't 17 yet, my mom wrote me a note because where I lived, it was a pretty small town, and you could just leave a note give a note to say that your mom said it was okay to see the rated R movie. And she wrote, "My daughter has my permission to pollute her mind by watching Purple Rain." So she totally didn't approve, but I saw it anyway. So
That is so funny. Yeah,
I did have permission. So.
That's small town America, though, right there.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess
that
it is.
that wouldn't have flown in St. Louis. They'd be like,
they didn't care it was here.
Yeah, I was gonna say that would not have. Yeah, I don't think I've seen the whole thing all the way through because
I don't think I'd like it now, but
I wasn't allowed to watch those things when I was a kid. Our family was very conservative, so
yeah, mine too. So I think, like I said, she didn't really like it, but it was
I don't think I saw parts, like just here and there, and it was like on cable, and it was like, so that's kind of my extent of it. But I love his music because I was a DJ forever, so like nothing to get people going. I mean, our wedding party song was the one
Is it When Doves Fly?
No, not When Doves Cry.
When Doves Cry. Sorry, I forget.
1999. Yeah, the
Party Like It's 1999.
Yeah, that one I think.
Yeah.
I can't remember. Oh gosh, I'm terrible. I can't.
It's been so long since I've heard any of it really, so I don't really remember it.
It's fun though. We had a good time. Well, hey, I'm gonna run, but I appreciate you taking the time and tell the twins we'll hook this up and get it going here this fall and have another good show.
Okay. Thanks a lot, Mike. I appreciate it.